Snow fell in silent sheets across the lonely highway, each flake whispering against the windshield of Daniel's old sedan as he drove through the frozen night. His wipers squeaked in rhythm, his breath fogged the glass, and the faint voice of his daughter humming through a phone recording filled the quiet cabin. He had been driving back from his late-night shift, tired, hungry, and just wishing to get home to the little girl waiting for him. But fate had other plans that night, because as he turned a bend near the old bridge, he saw something that made his heart stop. A woman barefoot walking in the snow, her white dress torn and shimmering under the amber streetlight like a ghost from another world. She looked lost, shivering, fragile, and yet there was something hauntingly beautiful about her. The kind of beauty that carried pain in its eyes. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of helping someone in need, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more real, heart-touching stories to life. Daniel slowed down, rolling his window down just enough for his voice to reach her. "Miss, are you okay?" But she didn't answer. Her lips trembled, her eyes distant, like she'd been running for miles, not just from somewhere, but from something. Her hair was wet, her makeup streaked, and she was holding a pair of silver heels in her hand as if they were the last pieces of who she used to be. Daniel hesitated for a moment. He wasn't the type to meddle in strangers' lives. Not anymore. Life had taught him to stay in his lane. But something about her, about the quiet desperation in her posture, stirred a place in his heart he'd kept locked away for years. He got out, wrapping his jacket around her shoulders before she could protest. Her skin was ice cold. "You'll freeze out here," he said softly, guiding her to the car. She didn't resist. She just sat there, staring at the dashboard, her breath shaky as if the warmth felt like a strange luxury she hadn't known in a while. Daniel drove in silence for a few minutes, trying to figure out what to say. Finally, he asked if she wanted him to take her to the police or a hospital, but she shook her head weakly. "Just anywhere but back there," she whispered, her voice cracking like fragile glass. Daniel didn't press further. He took her to a small diner still open that late, where the old waitress knew him by name. He offered her a cup of hot cocoa and something to eat. When she finally spoke, her words came slow, careful, like someone walking barefoot on broken glass. "My name is Elena," she said. "I didn't mean to end up here. I just had to leave." Her hands trembled as she spoke, and though she didn't say more, Daniel could tell that whatever she had run from, it wasn't small. As they sat there in the warm glow of the diner lights, Daniel noticed the way her gaze lingered on the old pictures of families and couples on the wall. He could tell she wasn't used to ordinary places. The way she held her cup, the elegance in her tone, even the delicate bracelet on her wrist that probably cost more than his car. But what struck him most wasn't her beauty or her grace. It was her loneliness, the same kind of loneliness he carried every day since his wife had passed away 2 years ago, leaving him to raise his daughter Emily on his own. Daniel drove her to a small motel afterward. She thanked him softly, her voice barely a whisper. Before stepping out, she looked at him for a long time, like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the courage. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about her, the haunted look in her eyes, the way she flinched at the sound of a phone ringing in the diner. There was more to her story, something heavy, something she was running from. The next morning, he went about his routine, getting Emily ready for school, packing her lunch, pretending everything was fine. But as he drove past the motel, he saw the police there. For a second, his heart skipped. He parked his car, stepped out, and saw that Elena was gone. The clerk said she'd checked out early, before sunrise, leaving behind only the jacket he'd lent her. Inside the pocket, folded neatly, was a note. "Thank you for stopping. You saved my life last night. Don't look for me." He sighed, pocketing the note, thinking he'd never see her again. But life once again had different plans. 2 days later, Daniel's workplace, a small auto repair shop, was swarmed by reporters and expensive cars. His boss looked stunned, staring at a breaking news report on TV. A headline flashed, "Billionaire's fiancé disappears hours before wedding, police launch investigation." The photo on the screen made Daniel's blood run cold. It was Elena. Her hair was perfectly styled, her smile flawless, but her eyes, those same eyes he saw that night, were unmistakable. She wasn't just anyone. She was the runaway bride of Victor Caldwell, one of the richest men in the state, a powerful tycoon known for his charm and control. Daniel felt dizzy. He replayed everything in his mind, her fear, her refusal to go to the police, her plea not to be found. It all made sense now, but what didn't make sense was why. What would make a woman like her run from a life of luxury in a torn dress in the middle of a snowstorm? That night, as he drove home, he found his answer. She was standing outside his house. Alina. Her hair was tied back, her eyes red from crying, and she was holding Emily's old teddy bear. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. "I saw your address on the tag inside the jacket." Daniel hesitated. Part of him wanted to protect his quiet, fragile peace. But another part, the part that remembered how broken she'd looked that night, told him to let her in. Over the next few days, Alina stayed in his small home. She helped with dinner, read bedtime stories to Emily, and slowly the house that had felt empty for so long started to feel alive again. Emily adored her, and Daniel found himself drawn to her warmth, her laughter, and the way she'd look at him when she thought he wasn't watching. But he also saw the pain she tried to hide. The way she'd wake up from nightmares, trembling, whispering a name he didn't recognize. Finally, one evening, as they sat by the fire, she told him everything. Her fiancé, Victor Caldwell, wasn't the man the world thought he was. Behind the wealth and charm was control, suffocating control. He'd isolated her from her family, dictated her every move, and turned her life into a gilded cage. The wedding was supposed to cement his image, not their love. She had run away hours before the ceremony, choosing freedom over fortune, fear over falsehood. "I just wanted to feel human again," she said quietly. Daniel didn't know what to say. He just listened, really listened, something no one had done for her in a long time. And that night, something unspoken passed between them. A fragile bond built on empathy and quiet understanding. Days turned into weeks. Elena began helping at the community center where Daniel volunteered. She blended in, wearing simple clothes, smiling genuinely for the first time in years. But the illusion of safety shattered one cold evening when a black SUV pulled up near the garage where Daniel worked. Two men stepped out, their tone sharp, their questions colder. They were looking for her. Daniel told them he hadn't seen her, but as they left, one of them handed him a card. A warning wrapped in politeness. That night, Daniel found Elena on the porch, tears streaming down her face. "I can't stay," she said. "I won't drag you or Emily into this." He looked at her, his heart heavy. "You don't have to run anymore," he said. "You're not alone now." The next morning, the news broke. Victor Caldwell had been arrested. One of his assistants had leaked proof of his illegal dealings, blackmail, and abusive behavior. World finally saw the monster behind the mansion gates. Elena's name was cleared, but she didn't celebrate. She just stood there quietly, watching the snowfall, whispering, "It's over." Months passed. Life returned to a new kind of normal. Daniel's garage grew busier, thanks to unexpected attention, the man who helped the runaway bride. But fame wasn't what mattered to him. What mattered was seeing Emily laugh again, seeing Elena smile genuinely, and feeling something he hadn't felt in years, hope. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, Elena stood in the same spot where Daniel had found her that first night, barefoot, the air cool around her, the streetlight glowing softly above. Daniel walked up beside her, hands in his pockets. "You know," he said, smiling gently, "you never return my jacket." She laughed softly, her eyes glistening. "Maybe I'll keep it as a reminder." "Of what?" She looked at him, her voice trembling just a little. "Of the night someone reminded me that kindness still exists in this world." The snow began to fall again, gentle and forgiving, as she leaned into him. For the first time in a long while, both of them felt like they were exactly where they were meant to be, not in the chaos of wealth or the pain of the past, but in the quiet beauty of a second chance. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Every interaction helps us spread kindness and hope through stories that remind us what it means to care. Special request, comment below. Kindness can change lives if you believe one small act of compassion can rewrite someone's story. As the camera fades on the snowy road, Daniel's car idles softly beside them, headlights glowing like beacons in the night. And there, under the falling snow, two broken souls stand, no longer strangers, but survivors who found healing in the simplest of miracles, a moment of kindness.